I must ask, what does being a Grey Warden mean to you?
It means I've been chosen to do something important.
There's that, of course. But there's more to being a Grey Warden than killing Darkspawn and saving the world from the Blight. Ultimately,
There is.
Being a Grey Warden is about serving others. About serving all people, whether elves or dwarves or men.
You mean to say I serve as a protector of sorts?
As a Grey Warden, you are a guardian of men. And you guard them because their continued existence is more important than you are. Thus it is you who serves, not they.
I see. I will keep that in mind.
A good king, a true king who cares for his land, uses his power to rule firmly but fairly. He serves his people first and foremost. The king who does not do this, who believes that he is entitled to his power, who abuses it and uses it for his own means, is a tyrant.
So in a way, having power confines you.
If you live apart from others, and your actions affect only you, then you may do as you wish. But if you have power, influence, and strength, your every action will be as a drop of water in a clear, still pond. The drop causes ripples, and ripples spread. Think of how far they will go, how wide they will become, how will they affect the pond. But I've lectured enough for today. I should stop before I wear out my welcome.
So, Alistair, what was it like to be a Grey Warden with all the others?
I didn't know them for very long. But I guess it was longer than you. You never met them all, did you? They were quite
No.
a number. Actually, they felt like an extended family, since we were all cut off from our former lives. We also laughed more than you'd think. There was this one time... Well, you probably don't want to hear stories about men you didn't know.
No, it's alright. I'd like to hear about them.
There was one Grey Warden who came all the way from the Anderfells. What was his name? It was Gregor... He was a burly man with the biggest, fuzziest beard you've ever seen. And the man could drink. He drank all the time, but he never got drunk. Finally, we all made a pool to see just how many pints it would take to put him under the table.
Oh. Sounds like you boys had a lot of fun.
Sometimes. We were kin of a sort. All of us had gone through the joining, so we knew... Well, anyhow. It doesn't have to be deadly serious all the time. Anyhow, we never did find out. He said he'd drink a pint for every half pint that the rest of us drank. He was still going by the time the rest of us were passed out. I'm told that Duncan walked in later on and saw us all passed out from one end of the hall to the other, and Gregor still drinking. Duncan laughed until he nearly... Until...
I'm sorry, Alistair. This must be hard for you.
Yes, I suppose so. I thought I was done with this, but it just struck me that I have nothing to remember Duncan by. Nothing at all. There's no body, not even a token of his that I could take with me. That must sound really stupid to you.
You have your memories of him?
I just would have liked something of his to take with me, that's all. Well, there's no use in moaning about it, is there? He's gone. Let's just go.
Alright.
Is there something you need?
So, why didn't you want to stay at the tower?
The Circle is in good hands. Irving knows what to do, and he doesn't need me underfoot. For now, I will support those that battle the Darkspawn. I do feel I left things unfinished in Ostagar. There is so much left to do, and I would be part of it.
Well, I'm glad for your company.
The Grey Wardens, all 2 of you, need all the help you can get. I will see this through to the bitter end, and after that, if I am still left standing, then I will return to the Circle.
I'm sure you'll be able to return if you so choose.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
I have a thought.
Oh, just the one?
Ah, such wit. Truly, you and Mother should form a troupe of jesters and tour the countryside. We have an opportunity that I believe we should take advantage of. To the point. My mother was once divested of a particular grimoire by a most annoying Templar hunter. It occurred long before I was born, but even today, Flemeth speaks of the loss with great rage. With the Circle of Magi in such disarray, it occurs to me that this might be the perfect time to recover the tome from their possession, for surely it eventually ended up in their hands.
You're telling me this now?
It did not occur to me when we were still in the Mage Tower. I wish it had. Truly, Mother has assumed for a long time that the tome was lost forever. I only remembered it now after thinking what treasures might be found in the Circle of Magi's tower now in its condition.
And what do you want with this grimoire exactly?
'Tis a book of spells, of the sort that Flemeth has dabbled with throughout her long life. Not the sort of thing that would benefit a mage such as yourself, perhaps, for you were taught a different path. I, however, was taught by my mother. I know a way around the wards my mother would have placed on such a tome. I know the language that she would have written it in. I would find such a tome most useful.
And what's in it for me?
My eternal gratitude? At the very least, it shall enable me to help you more. If that is not enough, you can certainly dictate other rewards.
Very well, if we go back to the tower, I'll look for it.
Good. I am most interested to see its contents, should it be located. The grimoire is leather-bound and adorned with the symbol of a leafless tree, should you come across it. If not, however, then I shall simply put it out of my mind.
All right.
Something I can help with?
I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yes? What's on your mind?
I heard that in Orlais, minstrels are often spies.
Where did you hear this?
I read it in a history book.
And did you not think that this could be historical fact and no longer true? Not all minstrels are spies.
Right.
Most are just singers and storytellers. But some of them are what we call bards.
And the bards are spies?
Bards are minstrels and more. Spies, as you say. Some say there is a bard order, but I don't think this is true. Many bards work alone or in small groups, doing the bidding of a patron who pays for their services. If there is an organization behind it all, no one knows who they are.
I see. And doesn't the monarchy govern them?
The Empress must have her own bards at her disposal, I suppose, but many are more self-serving. In Orlais, there is much rivalry amongst the highborn. They fight over land, influence, and the favor of the Empress. But they cannot do this openly because it is impolite, and in public, they wear smiling faces and pretend to be civil. In secret, they plot and scheme to destroy each other. It is a game completely meaningless to anyone but its players.
See. You seem to know quite a bit about these bards.
And I shouldn't I, after having spent most of my adult life as one? You've guessed as much, I'm sure. But does it really matter what I was? What's past is past.
But why were you living cloistered? Why were you living cloistered sister in rural Ferelden? What?
I found myself in Ferelden and sheltered from bad weather in the Chantry. And when the storm passed, I just did not want to leave. I like to see
Right.
the Maker brought me here.
Alright. Hello. I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Tell me, are you really Flemeth's daughter?
I assume you were actually asking whether Flemeth herself gave birth to me. Truly?
Well,
I do not know. I once asked Flemeth that very question, and she merely laughed at me. 'Tis not
course she did.
inconceivable that she could capture a chastened man, or perhaps change to a more attractive form to attract him willingly. I find it more difficult to imagine her with child.
Could she have stolen you as a child?
It seems likely, does it not? In an animal form, a babe could easily be spirited away and raised as Flemeth's own. I do know the tales of Flemeth having many daughters, even though I have never met another, and Flemeth has always treated me as her blood.
Well, she doesn't seem very, motherly.
Must one be a doting and simpering moron to be considered a suitable mother? Flemeth taught me everything
yes.
I needed to learn. How to survive, the meaning of power, the truth of men. If other mothers do not teach these things, then I believe them the lesser.
So there's no place for nurturing and love?
Room for coddling and weakness? Why should such things be desirable? Take yourself. You do not honestly desire such things from me, do you? 'Tis better to be free of such cloying and cluttering delusions as love.
But why limit yourself?
I do not consider it a limitation. Not leaping into a burning building also happens to be an experience best avoided. I tire of this discussion. Let us move on, shall we?
Alright.
Something I can help with?
I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yes? What's on your mind?
So why did you decide to come to Ferelden?
My mother was from Denerim, and I consider myself a Ferelden. Mother served an Orlesian noblewoman who lived here when Orlais ruled. When Orlais was defeated, and the common folk began to resent the presence of any Orlesian, the lady returned to Orlais. She took my mother with her. I was born in Orlais, and did not set foot in Ferelden till much later. Mother was always telling me stories of her homeland. I think she missed it.
Right. So what happened to your mother?
Mother died when I was very young.
Oh,
Lady Cecilie let me stay with her. I had no one else. She was quite old then, and she had me study music and dance to entertain her. It is unfair that I have more memories of Cecilie than my mother.
well, you were young. It's understandable.
Strangely, the only thing I really remember of Mother was her scent. She kept dried flowers in her closet amongst her clothes. Small white Ferelden wildflowers with a sweet fragrance. Mother called them Andrastis Grace. They were very rare in Orlais. But enough about that. Let us move on.
Alright.
You are not quite as callow as I thought. That is unexpected.
Callow? You thought I was callow?
You sound surprised. You must have heard this before. You'll get over it. Eventually.
Why did I let you out of that cage again?
I have wondered that myself. It is one of the many things I find puzzling about your behavior.
Well, I found plenty of things puzzling about you too, Sten.
What is there to be puzzled by? I'm a simple creature. I like swords, I follow orders. There's nothing else to know about me.
I don't think you're that simple.
As I said, you're not as callow as I thought. In any case, we should go now.
Alright, let's go.
As you wish.
Yep.
Something I can help with?
I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yes? What's on your mind?
Do you miss anything about Orlais?
I miss Val-Royeaux. Unlike other cities where the people are the lifeblood and the character, Val-Royeaux was her own person, and her people little more than decorations. There was always music in Valroyaux, streaming from the many windows, quiet refrains and triumphant choruses, and always, floating above that all, the chant, coming from the Grand Cathedral. It was magnificent.
Sounds wonderful. I don't know if you could tell this, but I've never been to Orlais.
If you get the chance, you should see it, at least Valroyaux. Of course there are good things and bad things about Orlais, like anywhere else. Sometimes I miss it dearly, and sometimes I'm glad I'm rid of it. And you will laugh at this, but I miss the fine things I had in Orlais.
What sort of things?
Dresses, fine dresses and furs. And shoes, of course. One can't mingle with nobility with bad shoes, you see. Orlais is very fashionable, almost ridiculously so. But the shoes! Living with those ridiculous trends was worth it for the shoes.
What's so special about shoes?
Well, they're shoes. They're pretty. Some of them anyway. When I left Orlais,
Right.
the fashion was shoes with delicate tapered heels and embellishments in the front. A ribbon, perhaps, or embroidery. In soft colors, of course. It was spring.
Wouldn't that be hard to walk in?
I wouldn't want to run in it, or have to enter battle, but for lounging in a lady's sitting room? Perfect. The shoes made in Orlais were exquisite. Not at all like these clunky fur-lined leather boots you have in Ferelden. Ugh, just look at them.
Well, they're comfortable. At least they keep the cold out.
They're sturdy shoes, but sometimes a girl just wants to have pretty feet. Oh, I could talk about shoes all day, but we have things to do, don't we?
Alright.
What's on your mind?
So, Win, are you feeling better now?
Oh, yes, and thank you for asking. I'm feeling much better today.
Alright. I suppose you were just tired then, like you said.
I suppose I must be.
You called.
I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
Do you find Ferelden very strange?
To put it lightly, no one has a place here. Our farmers wish to be merchants. The merchants dream of being nobles, and the nobles become warriors. No one is content to be who they are.
Don't the Canary ever want to change their lot in life?
What does that accomplish? The farmer who buys a shop is never a merchant. He is always a farmer turned merchant. He carries his old life with him as a turtle carries its shell.
Well, he might be happier.
Happiness is fragile. Nothing can be built upon it that will last. Only duty endures.
You don't think happiness is important?
You can learn to find it in doing your duty, in serving your people. There is no need to search for it. Shall we move on?
Is there anything you like about Ferelden?
There is interesting food here. You have
Oh?
a thing. It doesn't have a word in the Kunari tongue. Little baked things like bread, but sweet and crumbly.
Cookies.
Yes, we have no such things in our lands.
Oh,
This should be remedied.
I'll keep that in mind.
Shall we move on?
You sound a bit homesick, Sten.
Perhaps. It's strange to be in a crowd and hear a language that is not your own. To see faces that are and aren't like yours. I miss the smells of Saharon. Tea and incense and the sea. Ferelden smells of wet dogs.
Oh. And rotting garbage.
True. I was trying to forget that part. Shall we move on?
Yes.
As you wish.
Alright.
What's on your mind?
I'd like to ask you something about the Circle.
I will answer to the best of my ability.
So, how did you become a mage?
People don't become mages. They are born
well,
mages.
Yes.
The talent just surfaces later. But you are asking how I ended up at the Circle. I was brought there by
right.
the Templars, just like many of the other apprentices.
Oh.
I don't remember very much. I was very young then.
What about your family?
I didn't have a family. I never knew my real parents.
Oh.
My earliest memory was of hiding in a hayloft on a farm, trying to keep warm. I was found, and the farmer's wife was kind enough not to send me away. But they had children of their own, and I was never made to feel welcome. The eldest son was the worst. He was always calling me a stray, and throwing anything he could get his hands on at me. And I don't know how it happened, but one day he just found his hair on fire.
Oh.
Fortunately, there was a large trough nearby.
How did that happen? Was he seriously hurt?
I had singed his hair and eyebrows, but injured little other than his pride. Who knows what they would have done to me had he been more seriously hurt. Thankfully, all I had to endure was a few nights locked in a cold barn with a bowl of water and a crust of bread. The Templars arrived several mornings later.
Right. Alright, what happened when you arrived at the tower?
I'll never forget the moment the Templars led me into the entrance hall of the tower. I had never seen anything so grand in my life. I stopped being afraid then. I knew I was home.
That's a great story, Wynne.
Well, that's about all there is to my tale. That's how I came to the circle.
It's been a while since I left the tower.
It has been almost a year, hasn't it? Do you miss the tower at all?
Well, a bit. It was my home for so long.
You can take a mage out of the circle, but you can't take the circle out of the mage. Or so Irving used to say. He was joking, but there is some truth to the statement. A mage never really leaves the circle, and for the rest of your life you will be seen as a circle mage.
Not as a Grey Warden, then.
But you will always be a mage, especially in the eyes of others. You represent both mages and Grey Wardens, and your actions may reflect well or badly on both groups. Remember that.
Right. I'll try. Thank you for the advice.
Oh, but listen to me go on. You start a conversation, and I just run away with it, don't I?
Well, I'm glad you take the time to, counsel me.
I've been mentoring apprentices for so long, it's become something I do unconsciously. I don't know if I could stop, even if I wanted to.
There you go, Morgan.
What? You found Flemeth's grimoire? When I spoke of it to you, I did not truly hope... This is a most fortuitous event. You have my thanks. I will begin study of the tome immediately.
You're welcome.
I do not intend to squander this opportunity to learn more than Flemeth wished me to know. This should be... interesting.
Indeed.
Something on your mind?
I have some questions.
Of course.
So, Alistair, what can a Templar do exactly?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
So Templars use magic themselves?
You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however. since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
Right. So, couldn't others learn these sounds?
Perhaps, but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put 2 and 2 together.
So you were addicted to lyrium?
Thankfully, no. You only start receiving lyrium once you've taken your vows. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templars' talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Indeed.
What's on your mind?
I was just thinking about being a Grey Warden.
Is something troubling you?
Sometimes I wish I could go back to my old life.
A Grey Warden should put aside the person that he used to be. It has shaped the person that he is, but he has become something greater. Grey Wardens have no titles. They owe no allegiance to a king or lord. They cannot serve one people. They must serve them all and protect them all. You are one of the 2 surviving Grey Wardens in Ferelden. You defend all of us, and much rests on your shoulders. It may not mean much to you, but thank you for having the courage to continue to fight.
Well, I don't give up easily.
And that gives me hope.
Something on your mind?
I have some questions.
Of course.
So how'd you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
I mean, before that...
Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
So you mentioned before.
It's really for the best. I'm not exactly the Chantry type, if you haven't noticed. I don't think I would have made a very good Templar. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
You think Duncan took pity on you?
I don't know. Maybe. When he came looking for recruits, I just remember praying fervently to the Maker that he would pick me. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
Yes. He was a good man.
He was. A good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
All right.
Have you heard much about the Grey Wardens of old?
I know they were more respected in the old days.
It was said that watching the Wardens ride in on their white griffins was enough to rouse a weary heart and put the dance back in the step of an old man. The Grey Wardens were powerful, feared and respected, but they also inspired the common people. I remember a tale that was told to me many years ago.
Go on.
The Blight had ravaged the land for months, and the armies of the great kings had amassed for one last stand. As the sun burst through the clouds that boiled and churned in the dark sky above, it illuminated a vast, seething horde of darkspawn, with the archdemon at its head. And it was then, when courage seemed to fail, and all lost to death and despair, that the Grey Wardens came. They arrived with the beating of wings like mighty war drums, and stood before the armies of men.
Griffins, eh?
Yes, griffins. Now listen to the rest of the story. The Grey Wardens, grim and fearless, marched forth, ever between the men and the encroaching darkspawn. They formed a shield of their own bodies and held that line until the archdemon was dead and the last darkspawn lay trampled in the dirt. And then, demanding neither reward nor recognition for their sacrifice, the Grey Wardens departed. When the clouds finally rolled back and the sun shone full upon the blighted ground, the great kings knew that they had lost no men, and none of their blood had been spilled.
When did this happen?
This is a tale about no battle the Grey Wardens have fought, and yet about them all. They have always defended us from the Darkspawn, taking losses so we do not have to. People may have forgotten over the centuries, but nothing has changed. This knowledge has been blessing and burden to Grey Wardens past, and now it shall be your blessing and your burden.
I see.
Something on your mind?
I have some questions.
Of course.
Tell me about the Grey Wardens.
Such as they are.
Where are the nearest Grey Wardens from here?
That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands.
Is there a headquarters somewhere? Oh, I don't know that. Weishaupt, right? Yeah, so what happens now that there's just two of us?
I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Logain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us.
Right. So, will we need to start rebuilding the Order?
I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be two of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere.
Right. Alright, I have no more questions.
About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. Something on your mind?
Never mind. Let's go.
What's on your mind?
As a Grey Warden, I'll never lead a normal life, will I?
No, you won't.
I could try, but it wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't, would it? Being a Grey Warden is in your blood now. You can't escape it. You wonder sometimes, don't you? If your life would be better if you weren't who you are.
A little.
When I was a young woman in the tower, I came to the realization that the circle would be my life, and I would know no other. Family, love, a simple life. These were things that others took for granted, that I would never have.
There's always time for love, Wynne. Grass is always greener on the other side.
It made me very moody. All
I don't know what that
think
means,
of was
but
being trapped in that tower with no way out and no end in sight. I started hating my life and myself, and one night I found myself in the tower's chapel. I was seeking refuge, maybe answers.
I must say, Wynne, it's hard to imagine you as a moody youth.
Well, I was. Dreadfully morose. Surly. Anyway, where was I? Ah, yes, the chapel. I must have looked tearful or made some noise, because the revered mother came out and decided to speak to me. And because I had no one else to talk to, I talked to her. I must have said many silly things, but she told me that the Maker puts us all on our paths for a reason, and fighting our intended course is what causes so much anguish.
And that made you feel better?
I thought the old biddy was full of rubbish. I was 15, maybe 16, and I knew everything. So I left, but I always found my way back to that chapel. And as the years passed, I began to see the truth of her words. We were supposed to be polar opposites, mage and priest. But we weren't. There was much about us that was the same.
But priests have to choose to be priests, don't they? Not like mages.
Not all priests choose their path. Some children are given to the chantry to raise and become initiates. The revered mother had lived in the chantry all her life, as I had been in the tower for all of mine. She taught me that you can find your family in the people around you, that you can love your work and find fulfillment in duty. And there is joy even in self-sacrifice. If you put others before yourself, then their well-being is yours, and their happiness is your happiness.
I don't know. That doesn't sound very healthy.
It isn't healthy to throw yourself at a pack of darkspawn either in order to save the world. One and not afraid of death. Whatever. You can scream and cry and be angry about life as a Grey Warden. Or you can accept it and allow yourself to see the good in it. This is your choice.
All right.